What is independence? Is it doing whatever you want? Is it watching fireworks on the 4th of July? Is it making your own decisions? What is independence?
I know people say it's never right to ask a lady her age, but you didn't ask. And I'll tell you, even if you did, I'm 87 years old. These two eyes have seen a lot in my lifetime. Love, war, prosperity, heartache. You live long enough, you see them all, and sometimes more. My family originally came from Ireland. We moved to Nova Scotia when I was little, and then my dad moved us down to Boston for work right before the Depression. His timing was never very good, but he got us through, and we found ourselves in Malden. I've lived in Malden for over 70 years. That's something.
Over 50,000 elders live in the communities served by Mystic Valley Elder Services. They have lived here for many years. They are a part of the community.
The area has changed all right, a lot of change. Each morning I read the paper and listen to WBZ. All that traffic. It seems there's always a traffic jam. It sure wasn't that busy when I was younger, but it's still home.
Community is important to Mary. She and her husband wed at Immaculate Conception. She raised 2 children in Malden, and she belonged to the West Side Catholic Club and the YWCA.
I haven't traveled a lot, but I've seen much of the U.S. There are some wonderful places in this country. I know everyone talks about Florida. It's warm, and you don't have to think about snow. I've been there, and it's hot. Too hot for me. I like New England. I like to see the seasons change. I was very active when I was younger. I always liked to go walking and roller skating. Imagine that, me roller skating. I love dancing too. That's how I met my husband. Of course, those days have come and gone.
Mary's husband passed away 6 years ago. She stayed living in their small home. Her son helped her keep up the house. 2 years ago, Mary fell as she got out of the shower. She fractured her hip and stayed in a rehab facility for 3 weeks. The V&A helped her for several weeks after she returned home. Although her hip was better, Mary's ability to move around was limited. She had trouble standing for long periods of time, and bathing was nearly impossible.
My son Everett, he helped me as much as he could. He tried to keep the house clean and help me get my groceries. He even tried to help cook. He's a good son. He has his own family and grandchildren, and he has his hands full. He couldn't help me by himself.
Despite her hip healing well, Mary continued to struggle to move around her house. Unable to cook for herself, she often had only potato chips for lunch. Arthritis in her legs made it very painful to walk. Within 2 months of returning home from her hip rehabilitation, Mary was admitted to Melrose Wakefield Hospital with pneumonia. The discharge planner suggested her son call Mystic Valley Elder Services.
He called Mystic Valley Elder Services, and someone from there came out to see us. I always thought Elder Services was for poor people, but Everett insisted we hear them out. This nice girl came out and told us about different services. I have a small pension and Social Security. I'm far from rich, but I'm not poor. This girl, she called herself an elder care advisor, told me that I would probably qualify for some services. I was reluctant at first. I've always wanted to do things for myself, but I needed help. My son was right. If I didn't get help at home, I would have to go live someplace where there was some help.
Like most elders, Mary wanted to live in her own home. Mystic Valley Elder Services looked at what Mary needed to stay at home and designed a care plan to meet those needs.
I started getting home-delivered meals, and I got them quick. It seems like the day after a case manager came out, I started getting the meals. To be honest, I expected the meals to be terrible, but they're pretty good. I even get a choice of a hot meal or a cold sandwich. I get a meal 5 days a week. Because I can't bathe myself, I'm so afraid of falling again. A nice woman comes in twice a week and helps me. Jane's a sweet woman. She also helps clean up my house. My arthritis was hurting so much that I hadn't been cleaning. Dust bunnies everywhere. But not now. Now that I get help.
Mary's income was moderate, and she was asked to contribute to the services with a co-payment. She pays $54 a month.
I'm not one for a handout. I'm happy to pay someone to come in and help. I know what I pay doesn't cover the whole bill, but I feel that I'm helping. My son Everett still helps out a lot, but like I said before, Everett takes care of the house and yard. He takes me to the doctor when I need to go. He helps a lot, but he can't be there every day. Everett was doing his best before Mystic Valley Elder Services started helping, but he was getting burnt out. I saw it in his face. With Jane helping during the week, Everett gets a break. On the weekends, Everett usually picks me up, and my daughter-in-law makes Sunday dinner. I get to see my grandchildren too. I'm always happy to be going home after dinner. It's quiet there, and I can watch Jeopardy.
Mary had been receiving help for about a year when her case manager for Mystic Valley Elder Services made a routine visit. The case manager noticed that Mary's mail was in a big pile on the kitchen table. Edward had been away on vacation and hadn't been able to help her.
I get so much mail, and much of it is junk. I just don't have the energy to go through all of it. It didn't seem that important until the electric company called and said that I hadn't paid a bill. That was when Mystic Valley Elder Services offered to help. A lovely woman, Alice, volunteers and comes to see me twice a month. She helps me go through the mail, and she makes sure all my bills are paid. She is very knowledgeable, and I know that Mystic Valley has screened her, so I trust her. I have a lot of help from different people. Of course, there's Edward. There's Jane, who helps me shop and bathe. There's the kind man who brings my meal each day. I always forget his name. There's Alice, who helps me pay the bills. And there's Sarah, the case manager, who calls every so often to check to see how things are going. A lot of people help me.
Like many elders, Mary experienced several health problems in a short period of time. After recovering from her fractured hip, she became sick with pneumonia. While at the hospital, several clinicians felt she may need to go to a nursing facility.
I know they were talking about a nursing facility, and it was brought up to me. I got angry. When I look back now, I wouldn't have been able to stay in my home by myself. I needed help. Thankfully, I found out about Mystic Valley Elder Services. With Edward and Mystic Valley working together, I can stay in my house. This is where I want to be. I have lived here for many years, and with some help, I can continue to live here. Sometimes my family wonders if I should live at home. I nod my head, yes, I love my home. I love reading the Boston Globe each morning and doing the crossword puzzle. I enjoy eating lunch and watching the cars drive down the street. I like being able to turn the TV on and off when I want to. I love being able to decide if I want the windows open or closed. I love living in my home. I treasure my independence.
From Mary and all of our clients, we thank you for your continued support.